Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
In a health teaching, you said that the soul of the man leaves the body at the exactly moment that she must go.
Yes.
This moment, I didn't understand what you're saying about it. You said in a teaching that is beyond your imagination.
You see,
if you could say about it, thank you very much.
Yes. Go back to the matter state. Maybe you understand better. In the matter state, the strength of the field of a magnet dictates its positioning. When you put two magnets next to each other, they create a distance gap, what we call magnetic gravitational field position. If you put a winding around one of the magnets, you can do it if you understand how to do it, and increase the flow of the fields in one of the magnets, you will see maybe the other magnets come slightly closer or move further. And you can reach to a position by creating these kind of magnetic fields, which is done for some military purposes, some industrial purposes, that the other magnet literally shoots up without doing anything to it. It becomes a trajectory. We see it in the slaughterhouses in a different shape, like a bullet, but it's releasing and attracting. Now, your solar physicality becomes that winding. And your soul becomes the other magnet. But in this case, the solar physicality has given its energy to the soul. So now the soul is energized. And when the point comes that the soul of the man's energy surpasses the blood flow cage, it takes off. And in taking off, what happens? The physicality stays behind what the soul has got. Point of death. Why most of us die at the old age. If you can keep the circulation of the blood and the energy levels of your body at a strength that does not come low than controlling the cage of the field of the soul, you do not die. You can extend your life. The minute the soul of the man receives more energy as part of the information, emotion, and whatever else, and the cage becomes rusty and weak, the soul has nothing to hold it. It becomes the point of death. So our aging is by circulating less blood, feeding the soul more from the soul of physicality and dimension of emotion and whatever energy, it becomes more powerful and it jumps, it creates that, it becomes that bullet to a new position, breaks through the weak cage, which is rusty, which is the old age of the man, the blood cannot hold the circulation that is strong, then you die. Because the soul is gone, physicality stays behind. It's escapism for the soul of the man. We escape from it. We become good in doing it, and in that process, we interact, we increase, we add to it by expansion of strength. And that's how the death comes. Physical separation of the soul of the man from soul of physicality. But you got to understand, the minute this process starts, which the soul of physicality becomes slowly aware that is losing control to the soul of the man, it transfers most of the energies which are within it, within the soul of the man, within the soul of physicality of man, and the physical energy of the body of the man to the soul of the man. So it suddenly receives a rapid field energy because it's aware, the blood flow is weak, and then the soul departs. It becomes that bullet. But that bullet, through its interaction with field strength, has already destined for a position for it to find its balance. And then in that position, it becomes, because it has no physical structure, soul physicality with it partially, it becomes a star. And that star starts a new life as in a galaxy, in the universe, as it does in the world of the creation. In a way, you created a soul shooting star, and you have to see if it has enough at the point of arrival that it becomes the source, it becomes the beginning of the new cycle for the soul. The whole purpose of creation is to create new essence of creation, which is another star, which is the soul of the man, but not within the physicality of the man, but in another dimension. And doesn't matter how long you keep this together, you can always play it one against the other or one within the other, that you live an everlasting life of the Creator. I made man in the image of myself because I become the man that within it, having connection with me, I keep total integrity and totality of integral fields of what I started with, so I don't lose anything. And this is the secret of creation. It's the secret of life in the dimension of the existence. As the Arab says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. This is it. This is the final, as we understand the beauty of the Creator. All the beauties are given, and there is no more. It's you who have to understand how beautiful it is. As all the beauties, Rahmat, which is the kindness, the love of Creator, is already given. It's us who have to understand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 557th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 26, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department, and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and once again, I'll be host in this eternal series of workshops that are ongoing for each week. And once again, we have the honor of having Mr. Mehran Keshe as our guest and presenter. And I believe he's ready to begin yet another workshop here, Mr. Keshe. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute. We are back here again, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit more from each other and how the knowledge will be shared and how we use the knowledge. In the past few weeks, we have come to understand more about the cycle of life. We look at the cycle of life in the eye of the man from the time of inception till the time we die. But in the universal language, the cycle of life for our soul comes from the time of the creation of the Creator, and ever ongoing. It never changes, it never finishes. It always stays ongoing. So in a physical life, we have maybe 50 years, 20 years, 80 years, or 100 years from the time of our inception, when we were, in a way, conceived in the womb of the mother, till the day we finish the physical life. But if you understand that I made man in the image of myself, which I refer to a lot because it's the attribute and totality of every direction and dimension of the life of the man. The life of his cell, the life of the physical body, the life of the soul of physicality, and life of the soul of the man is all replication of. Now we have to understand, as we all come from and go back to, our physical life, material collection, is the time on this planet. The soul life, as is connected to the other fields of the universe, comes from the origin. So we are in the soul level, we never die. There is no an end. We are just part of amalgamation of all, in interaction of all, and sometimes some fields come together in one point, and that leads to the creation of, let's say, the soul of the man. And then on departure, those parts of the physical life energy and the fields carry on and maybe become part of another cycle of life or physical condition, or part of the soul of another life. And then it's ongoing. We are in a soul level, a mixture of all what is come from Creator and leads to another creation, which itself goes back to the Creator. So if someone asks you how old you are, in physical dimension, I'm 50, 60. In the solar strength, according to the field understanding strength of the creation, in this dimension of the soul, could be from the beginning of time, but it's not could be, 100% is from the beginning of time, because that's where everything comes from. So if they say this universe is 4 billion or 10 billion years old, the dimension of the strength of the fields that created your soul, a combination of amalgamation of whatever, is that age. It cannot be any different. Fields which led to the creation of your forefathers or the creation of the sun did not just come up out of nowhere. It has come from a source. And then we say the fields of the sun in interaction with the fields of the earth leads to the creation of the matter state or plasma or protein or whatever. So, in fact, in the cycle of the soul, feel the strength of creation of the soul of the man. Our soul is as old as the creator. Cannot be any different. Different strength, yes. Different dimensions, yes. But in essence, cannot be and is part of the soul of the creator, fields of the created things. And once we understand this brings us back to the transmutation, which means as we have been right along the way from the point of the creation of this universe with every other fields within this universe, so we are connected to all of them. It's just cousin souls, cousin fields. And some get together, have a party, and that party becomes the soul of the man. Some other get together in another part, become soul of your brother or your mother or your father or whatever. Or another cat, another creation in dimension of creator in another universe and galaxy. It's not that in the physical dimension we all go back to one mother, as has been tracked by United Nations. In a dimension of the soul, we all go back to the same father, to the same creator. And once we understand this, then we understand how we have access to the knowledge of the universe, because it all comes and goes through and is within the same system. I made man in the image of myself. I create many images according to the interaction of the fields of me with the environment which I created. The whole purpose, the whole understanding of life is very simple. The fields create conditions, which those conditions create new positions and conditions within themselves, which that interaction itself leads to creation of condition of creating life. I've referred this very clearly in the first book, where we talk about the fields. They make a plasma, they make an atom, and then you get the weight and then the rest of it. But if you look at it, a mass, which is itself collection of the fields, with the interaction with its environment creates a weight. And then the same, how did the mass come across? How was it produced? The mass comes from interaction of the fields, which have create condition in the inertial dimension of the field of the universe. This is why the mass is the same across all points and places in the universe, because the reference point inertia of it is the central point of the universe. Now we understand this. Now we always say your mass is the same, doesn't matter where you go. We understand why. Because it's all connected to the source. And like you have inertia on this planet, you have the universal inertia, which dictates all elements within this universe follow the same category, the same structure, the same interaction, and we call it the mass of the material, the mass of an element. We have atomic mass and we have atomic weight. The weight is when this mass interacts with this environment. Then we get a new side. This is how much it is at this position. When the fields of the soul of the universe interacts with the condition at a certain field strength of this planet, creates a reference mankind. If that reference is slightly different, it becomes a dog. If that reference point is still different, it becomes something else. Exactly. Each atom has its own mass. And that mass in interaction with its environment creates its own condition, a manifestation, in respect to the inertia of that point. We have a universal inertia and we have a local inertia. This is why some materials cannot manifest themselves on this planet, because the inertia of that element in respect to interaction with the fields of the gravity and magnetic field of the environment of this planet does not allow manifestation, but does not mean that it doesn't exist. This answers a lot of questions in the world of physics. This is why we, for example, look for neutrinos and we can't find them. But if we create the inertia magnetic field strength of a given size, all new, what we call elements will manifest themselves. There'll be no neutrinos, because this planet does not create the inertia field strength to lead to the manifestation or interaction. Once man understands this, once we extend the knowledge to understand we are part of, because we came from off, then we understand the whole process of the creation changes. How does it change? It depends how this planet, in the interaction with the fields of the solar system of it, with other systems, was given the responsibility to create this inertia, to absorb certain element field strength from a source and within the structure. Jupiter, Saturn have a structure, gravitational magnetic field inertia of gaseous level. And as they lose it, as the Jupiter or Saturn reaches to interact with the inertia field forces of the solar system, the star of it, then you change the gases into matter state. Because inertia of the gas is different than the inertia of the matter state. It's created different. If you go back to the teachings, for a long, long time, I always said gravitational field force of what we call life on this planet is connected to oxygen. Now you understand why. Where the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth and the matter state is connected to iron. And if you understood this, if you can comprehend what is oxygen, which is more or less 16, multiply 16 by 4. What do you get? Now you understand. You sit around the gravitational magnetic field isotopes of iron with capability and power strength fields of copper and zinc. You got 16 by 4, 40. 4 by 10 is very easy. 24. You have 64 sets with the upper bracket of the isotopes of iron, which is 56, plus what comes to zinc. And then you go down by the factor of field strength. Then you understand why our life is created in the structure of the protein on this planet. It's all inertia connected, but at the same time, gravitational magnetic field absorption of the point and place and position. Now you understand how everything on this planet is controlled. Because you have nitrogen, 14. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 10 is 40, 56. Iron is 56. Then you understand why nitrogen becomes an energy source connected to gravitational field forces of the matter state of this planet. This is why our life is a hybrid, and we are flexible. We have flexible muscle tissues as protein. We connect to the matter state plasma, which is the iron, and then copper, and then zinc, which gives us our neural system and the muscle tissue. And then on the other end, by the common denominator fraction, we're connected to the amino acids, the storage, nitrogen, plus the gravitational field of the gaseous side, now the matter state. Then the two come together. This leads to the creation of the flexible life, flexible tissue, combination of interaction, creating intelligence. Then, if you understand this further, you understand how our life is connected directly to the hydrogen. And why to the carbon? Hydrogen takes us directly to the line of connection at a specific characteristics, in a specific condition, to the line of the creator. It gives us the inertia, magnetic field strength of the universe. Then you have the carbon, which again connects us to the dimension of the physicality. Carbon 60, carbon, whatever you call it, communication and creation of my own environment. Then you understand how easily life on this planet is dictated. And then you understand how your soul is connected to the planetary system because of the nitrogen and oxygen, and then connected to the universal and the creator through the carbon and hydrogen. This pattern follows anywhere in the universe. One local, which what we call the weight. One, what we call universal, which we call the mass. And one in interaction with the other leads to creation of life. Then the question to ask is very simple. What is and how is the soul created? Is it hydrogen? Is it carbon and hydrogen? And is it connected in the field strength of the other matters? This is for man to understand. And then when it comes to the point of the transportation, you use the heavy side. When it comes to the point of the transmutation, you use the universal side. And once you understand this, you understand how the cycle of life is connected anywhere in the universe. Life on this planet is connected to iron, which is magnetic field strength of it, with a spectrum of the field strength of, to the matter state inertia, that it can be dynamic to create interaction of the fields with the universal fields. This is the only reason we have the amino acid. This is the only reason why amino acids are created. Connecting the universal fields and the line of connection to the creator, to the local inertia dimension of the field strength, what we call the environment. So anything created in the universe, from a stone to a plant to a tree to a man to an animal to another creatures in the universe, always have that line of connection, which is through hydrogen. Then you understand why in all the teaching I speak about humbleness. I speak about giving, being in love with. Because then you're not attached to the universal dimension and you're not attached to the physical dimension, but you connect yourself because it has no attachment. It stays independently to the hydrogen, which is a line of the connection to the soul of the plasma of the creator, which we all came from. Today, we have prejudices about our color, the race, which part of the world we come from. What happened when we understand this and become passengers of universe? people from such a galaxy, people from such a planet are so and so, and we have to hate them or love them or whatever. When you know you all come from one, does the 5 finger of a hand make any difference? Do you love one less than the other? That's what we are. That's what creation is. That's what life is. Does not matter where you come from. And this is where man has literally misunderstood the process of the creation. We are all those fingers, all connected through the hand to the body of the man. But the creational process of life in the universe has many fingers, one hand, and one connection to the Creator. All come together, all interact with each other, all become to be part of each other. And this is the essence of the creation. If, when the scientists understand this, how we are connected, how we link into, how we connect ourselves to the inertia, and at the same time we connect ourselves to the gravitational field of the planet, in the matter state, gaseous state, or whatever state, then we become to understand the work of the plasma, the work of the creation of plasma, how plasmas are created and how they manifest themselves. Then, if we manage to create the inertia of the universe and the inertia of the given environment, we can manifest anything in that environment according to its field strength. The process of creation is simple. It just needs to be understood. Connections have to be understood. Connections have to be made. Then you understand how everything is connected to each other and how we grasp, we add, we collect, we divide materials, fields, matters together and with each other. Then you understand how to go from matter state to the energy state, transmute, transfer, and then return back to the matter state. But you have to understand, again, you abide by the rules. On Earth, you have the carbon and hydrogen, and then on Earth, you have the gravitational field, the strength of the iron base, which is 56, and is what we call the boundary of its field, the strength which copper, the zinc, and the copper. Then you understand, man will look like this, does not matter where he goes on this planet. But when I take you out in the dimension of the gravitational field of the universal field of strength, because you transfer everything into it in the hydrogen and the carbon combination, and take you to another dimension where, for example, the magnetic field of the planetary system is, let's say, potassium. Then you have a spectrum. Your skin will be green. You won't be brown and blue and black. You'll have different shades of green. Your body will not work on a nitrogen basis. It works on the combination of the field strength to make that. You don't work on 4 times nitrogen, you work on 3 times nitrogen, which is 42. And then you have the spectrum of life with it. This is why calcium is the solid state of the physicality of body as bone. In the condition of the atmospheric gravitational magnetic field plasma of this planet. Then you understand, when we always said, if we create a fish tank of the field strength of the given environment, when we transfer you in it, you transfer and you will see how you look in the other environment. It's not magic anymore, is it? Now the science is understood. It's very much like you stand by a pool and jump in the pool. You weigh so much outside the pool, and when you're in water, you don't weigh that much because you're in a new environment. The only thing is, you have not managed to convert, to transmute yourself to the structure of a fish. And would the desire to become a fish, would you jump from the side of a pool as a man? Once you land in the water, you behave and live like a fish? Or now would that make sense? What is a mermaid? Was there a fish? Was it a man who jumped to live like a fish? Or a woman? That half transmutation has taken place, combination of two. Mankind will see many styles of life like this in the universe. Combination of two environments where both lives can be enjoyed. But one is a combination of physical condition, and one is a condition of the wish of a soul, the strength of the field of the soul of the man. Then hybrid structures is a very common position in the universe, where man can live in both dimensions, but both can tolerate each environmental condition. Many of children of man in the future, when we become travel of space, will create these kind of conditions, these kind of children, where one is from one side of the universe and the mother is from the other side, and then both can live in both societies because they inherited the dimension of the fields of both. It's like a black and a white couple. We see that in the physical dimension, what you create as a child. In the dimension of the universal field transmutation, we see the interaction of the fields of the soul and the physicality that can live the dimension of both. Then we understand how to transmute in the future. Then we understand how to travel in the future. And then we understand, for us to become the passenger of the universe, we need to transfer our energy and the physical condition into the universal energy, into the direction of the hydrogen and the carbon, and then we can travel the span of the universe. This is what we do when we are asleep, and we call it the dream. In the physical condition, we travel, we walk with our legs and arms. When that cage is released, on the other half, in a way, if you look at it, in a physical condition, we rely on the copper and zinc side. In our condition of sleep, we go on the hydrogen and the carbon side. We use the carbon to travel the span of the universe. And then we use the hydrogen for manifestation of the point and the time of place, because we use the same thing when we come to the dimension of physicality. And if you understand this, it becomes very simple to understand. Anywhere you go in the universe, due to the dimension of the carbon-14 interaction, all things can communicate and transmute anywhere in the universe, depending on the gravitational field of the environment. Carbon-12. Then you have the nitrogen, 14. Then you have the condition of the gaseous condition gravity, 16. H is too far from carbon. It's the line of connection to the creator. 14, carbon-12, carbon-14 is the connection of the line of the interaction of the field of that hydrogen with itself, which has amalgamated to a point that is common denominator in universal transfer in this universe, which then, in interaction with the environment of the fields, inertial, gravitational field, matter state, leads to manifestation of the matter life, which connects us with its inertia, with its gravity, with its gaseous, with its matter state, with its liquid state, to the conditioned conversion of the physicality of the man. Then you understand how creation and the creator are connected to each other. This is how our soul is connected to the soul of the creator, because we are part of it. It's not a connection of it. We are it. And when man understands this, man moves to a new dimension, a new direction in life. And then we understand, irrespective of life, position, and place, we are all connected through that hydrogen to the creator. And we are all the same. And somewhere in transfer of the physicality, one will meet another and lead to creation of new life. When we speak about when the man leaves this physical dimension and takes position in another place in the universe, this can be in amalgamation from another energy of another soul from another place, which together they create that condition of life in that position. And then in so many ways we understand the process of Trinity. Balance between the field forces of different parts of the universe is not just two things coming together. It's like egg and a sperm from two different races, two different creatures of the same in this environment leads to creation of life. Then we understand the simplicity of the process of creation. Then we understand the process of creation. Then we understand the totality of the creation. I made man in the image of myself. Because it's me manifesting myself according to the time, the place, the position, gravitational field, inertia. I refer to this many times. You are in the room, you breathe, room is normal temperature. If you change the environment outside, you get the frost on the window, you know there is a moisture, manifestation of physicality. If you heat it up, you see the moist on the window, manifestation of the same in different shape. There is no difference between the macro and micro. There is no difference in the life of manifestation of the man or the creation and the dimension of created in another position. Then we have to understand the room is the space of this universe. The condition inside is the manifestation of fields of the environment you enter in. You'll be a drop of water on the window today, and the ice piece on the same window with the same thing. And in a normal environmental condition of the place, time, and position, you manifest yourself as a man. Then we even understand why we were burned in the fire. If you understand how you can transfer, transmute, you become part of the fire. You never burn, there will be no ashes as you transfer in, because in the space you'll come to the spaces that the temperature of the position and time and the place is hotter than the burning fire on this planet. Doesn't mean your demise. It means you have to understand that you live within that fire. This is why we see life in what we call the hottest places in volcanic eruption of this planet. Now we understand the process. This is why they said you cannot live under so much pressure, cold or whatever. And now we see life in those places because now we understand the process of creation and not the hypocrisy of the past. And we have become very good at it. We just brush it away as if we didn't believe it. This is something new. We don't know about the others. But if you understand this, that life can live in the most coldest part of this planet and in the most hottest part of this planet, then you understand it's the same for the universe. Life exists across this universe and the universe. Then, in a most probably more compact understanding of the science of the man in the near future, we'll see full cycle of life on the moon. We'll see full cycle of life on Mars. We don't need to come up with the hypocrisy, does ever life lives. No, we go and create a condition of it and see how life is. Then we find it because we know what we are looking for. There is a difference between the inertia. There is a difference between gravity. There is a difference between magnetical and gravitational. And this is why I split it from the beginning very clearly. How much comes in and how much goes out. If you read in detail, understand the concept, understand the essence of the, what I call the black hole, creation of black hole paper, you have been given the secret of the creation. And the knowledge in that paper is so complete that when you put it in conjunction with the first few chapters of book 1, you see the essence of the creation, the line to the creator. I made man in the image of myself. Because I create the environment of it. I decide in what environment I want to be created. I create the fields for it, and then I manifest myself because of it. So each one of us carries the image of the creator in the dimension of the field, the strength of the soul, the emotion and the physicality and the time and the place. Then we understand why all the attributes of the creator is within the man. Man has to manifest it. Man needs to understand it to transmute between dimension of physicality or the fields. And so it's very easy. The new systems which you will see coming into operation creates both. We have a part of it, which is the collection of the soul, and we have part of it, which is within the collection of and creation of the magnetic field of the matter state flying system. So we have a hybrid system. In the new flying system, you can transmute what you can transfer, or you can transfer what you transmute. Depends which side do you like. You would like to in dimension of physicality and enjoy the partner, or do you want to be in the dimension of the soul strength and be in touch with the partner, where we can enjoy both dimensions? It's like speaking 2 languages. You're not prejudiced about one or the mother because one is spoken by the mother and one by the father, or one is spoken in the family, in the house, and one is spoken outside. You're aware of both and you exist amongst both. And this is how life is on this planet. And this is how we transmute. The whole structure and the failure in the world of science has been that they never understood the connection of the man with his creator and with his universe. We always looked at the man to be in this village of planet Earth and that's it, this is life, what it is. No, we are here because what was brought in and interacted with the environment, but as we brought in, we still got connection with because we came from it. This is the purpose. This is the totality of understanding the knowledge of the creation and the connection to the creator and man as a manifestation of its physicality of this place, time, and position. Then you understand why you can resurrect, as man called. You take the body to the dimension of the field of the soul, and then you create a new condition of the emotion of the man, and you manifest yourself as a new man. Isn't this what the Christ did? And now we understand the process. He went on the cross with the emotion and the motion of giving love and bringing the connection to the whole race of the man. On the cross, transferring to his energy, returning back to a new emotional dimension, he became a man and he walked amongst men. It wasn't that he disappeared. Man didn't see who came out of the room, who came out of the cave, who came and went in, and what came out. He went with a different field strength of the soul, and he came out with a different field soul strength. And that creates different man. This is why we are all different from each other. And maybe you understand why some people look alike each other. If you go into depth of their emotional understanding, they have very similar characteristics. Doesn't matter which nation they come from. Then we understand the process of creation. And then we understand the true meaning of transmutation, where we can take the body with us, or we can take the energy of the body with us, and then manifest ourselves in that place and time and position. And then, if you can create the matching field strength of the soul at a point of manifestation, you will be looking exactly the same as you are in the other place. Now you understand why I explained it can be in two places. Man has that ability primarily due to the fact of the use of the copper and the split in the field strength of the copper. Man is one of the very few creatures in the universe that has a split brain structure. Because due to environmental condition has been pushed into that dimension. In the universe we have other structure of the brain which are 4 or 6 sections. Because that's what that environment allocates, allows to bring in and balance fields. And in most of the universal condition creatures are singular brain structure, because they are directly connected. These creatures never kill, these creatures never do anything wrong, because through understanding of the common denominator, they can feed themselves. They can exist. And we have the confirmation of it. And we tested this on you lot last Friday. Last Friday test was the confirmation of the teaching of today. And this is why the new systems which has gone into use by the German Wellness Center uses this principle. And we've seen in the first week the changes. Where we feed the physicality of the man directly to connection to the soul of the man and the soul of the creator within the structure of the system. And this is where the change is, where the principal change has come in. In last Friday, we checked you out, those each group, some of your group went through nothing, you felt nothing, because we went to prove that this is what happens. In other groups, we create a connection with the soul and the soul of the physicality of the man. What I thought for decades, that you feed the soul feeds the physicality, you don't need the soul of physicality in between. Then man shall not kill, then we become mono brain structure. We become mono-soul structure, where we have two pieces of brain to interact to create the dimension of physicality of the man and his behavior. Now, the structure of the brain of the man with the soul becomes a twin. And this is part of the creation for man needs to understand. And we see, we feel, we understand the totality. Then transmutation and transportation becomes part of the same. It's just you have to decide. I walk or I get in the car, go faster. Then you understand why we talk about emotion in dimension of physicality and emotion in dimension of the soul of the man, because that's the key of the connection. And when they share, you say in the world of the man, we get the twins. We get twins of the soul, like the twin stars, like the twin systems we introduced in the gas production. Because one lives in the dimension of the fields and one lives in the dimension of the matter. And then the interaction of the two leads to creation of the condition of satisfaction of the soul of the man. Now you understand. When you receive your twin cancers, understand the process of the interaction of the fields dimension of physicality. And then you understand the totality. In the next few days, we'll announce in the second part, a new cycle of the what we call processing has started understanding this process. And then you understand how genes will change, how man will understand the condition, transformation and transmutation. There is no difference between one and the other. You transmute between the universal condition and a carbon and a hydrogen. You transfer in the dimension of the physicality, gravitational field of the matter state, which is the zinc and the copper and the iron, which is the physicality of the man. You have to decide which energy you transfer. You have to decide which dimension you want to transfer and more or less move into. In the dimension of the science of the man, when you want to travel in the dimension of physicality, what does your scientist tell you? 10,000 light years. If you transfer to the dimension of the universal field energy of the carbon and hydrogen, instantaneous. That's why one doesn't make sense with the other, because man never understood the knowledge. If I bring the cell of your kidney out of your body and put it on the table, would it still know it's cell of a kidney in your body? Or is just a cell on itself, on its own? And then, if it has the combination of it, it'll create a life. Would it create a kidney? Or would it create the work of the function of the kidney in the body of the man in that new environment? Now you understand the whole connection with the life of the man, with the universe, or the physicality dimension of this planet, or any other planet, or any other position in the universe. And this is why I keep on saying there is no place in the universe that there is no life. Even the open span of the universe, there is life. We have to understand what is the gravitational magnetic field and the weight of that environment that we can interact with, and then manifest ourselves in that dimension, place and position. And then if you understand this, and you can transfer the field strength of it, in the dimension of physicality, you become invisible on this planet. If you know what it means. manifesting yourself, knowing, aware of your physicality on this planet, but connecting to the field of the universe, that the field of strength envelopes the physicality. I hope you understood how much you are part of the creation and the creator at the same time, with the beauty and the control of emotion. You can be in any dimension as the wish of the man wishes to be. And understand more in depth what life means, both in the dimension of the creation and the creator. We go for a small break and we come back and try to answer any questions you might have. Thank you very much, Rick.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay. Well, this will be a short break, as Mr. Keshe said, and we'll engage into the second half of the show shortly. And people, our attendees here in the Zoom, will have the opportunity to raise their virtual hands and ask questions. So keep that in mind, and also questions can be posted into the various chats and Q&A. Okay, we'll be back shortly.
Water is the foundation of our life. It is part of every living creature. Pure water gives you the energy of nature. Now you can have this energy in your home. The Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer is designed for your daily well-being. It increases the pH of the water so your body can absorb more oxygen and stay in its natural condition during the day. Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer. Be pure like the water.
Okay, we are back again at the 557th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 26th. And as per usual, I think we'll have questions here with Mr. Keshe, but again, as per usual, he usually has something to say first. So, Mr. Keshe, would you like to go ahead?
It's as usual, per usual. Yes, first of all, we had some questions raised about the Trinity gases which came in. The new Trinity gases, they said there's no picture. There will be a picture, or they should have put a picture up to now. Is the product as it says, and it does what it says, and we need your feedback on all the gases you, what do you call it? Yeah, there'll be two pictures on this one. It's the same as the other bottles. Because they're waiting for labels to arrive that are going to be done. Most of your gases should be out in the next 4 or 5 days. All this is just waiting for labels to arrive from the, what do you call it, from the printers. And that should be done within today or tomorrow. So whatever you order, it'll be there. But the interesting thing is, we started a process with this twin system. You're not the first ones using it, because we've done tests in the background and we've seen the results, we've seen the interaction of the fields. But this leads to a new structure in what comes from German Wellness Center. As I explained before, the new structure which allows us to speed up the whole system understanding for all conditions of the transmutation and what we call transfer, now will be run on the same basis of Trinity, as we always explain. What does this mean? This means we've seen a high success rate with this process. We've seen a high changes in this process of testing, which now the doctors in Wellness Center and in conjunction with the Keshe Foundation explore it to a new dimension for a space development. What does this mean? This means that the twin system will come into operation from next week or so, where the doctors in what we call wellness centers will send the materials to you, which now becomes part of your connection with your headphones to the system, which means in a way is not just remote, but is connected direct. So you have a matching system with your headset, you have a matching system with your, what you call, what comes to you in like these jars, but you hold them in your hands. If you came to what you call lens, originally, we gave you this. This was part of the structure of the connection. What does this mean? If we look at some of the first, what we call units in lens when you came, what you saw when you sat in the chair, we gave you two handles to hold, which you held in your hand, you connected to the system and then to the structure of the emotion and the physicality. Now we cannot send you, bring you the what we call the unit, but we can put you in it, but in a different way. And we have seen a rapid development in the use and testing of these. What it means, you will receive the, what you call, the two gases in two bottles, and maybe two patches, which goes with it. You don't open, you don't touch, you just hold in hand. And then connecting to the system with, call it Dr. Kern and the other team doctors or whatever, you connect in a very different way with the systems on the wellness side. And this allows a huge breakthrough for us to be able to transfer energy fields and the rest of it. And the preliminary test on a pre-prorata to this has shown a massive changes. And we've seen the structural change. We've seen what we were waiting for. And it's the following, and in a way, the follow-up of the same technology in understanding how the systems work and how the system transfers and how energy is transferred through. So for cases that the doctors will you work with will, for example, misfunction in any part or addition of parts which was not supposed to be there and is there and is a concern, you change this through emotion, physicality, and every other dimension. And then you will understand that a system like this will become now workable anywhere across the universe, anywhere across this planet, which means we can transfer this to you and you are part of it. You become the structure of it. And this is part of the technology which has been developed for this purpose. You've seen these pictures. These are different structures of the systems. I'm trying to share photos. Rick?
Okay, I think I was trying to reshare or something there, so I wasn't sure.
Okay. If you allow
Try
us,
again.
I'll bring it back up again. Now I have to go and find it. I spent time finding it. Now I have to go back again.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry. What this means, it means now everything works in a very efficient way. And this is why I'll explain to you why the doctors and the wellness centers will ask or you can join in for things which was not possible, things which will come change, and it will bring a lot of changes in the dimension of the wellness, especially in deep space travels. What does this mean? This means that now, instead of you traveling to a position or to what you call a wellness center halfway around the world, we bring that world to you, but you are connected directly into it. And this gives us a massive change dimension and direction. Let's say if you have a misfunction with one organ, you receive the handle and a patch, and you connect to the center, and you go through the remote condition. Then you should be able to see the difference very rapidly, because we did not have this opportunity. Now new materials has been produced, developed, which gives us this possibility to connect through universal fields to what we call the condition of existence, that we can transfer, we can develop, we can bring systems into operation that allows us to literally change a lot of things. For example, we can feed you through these systems. You hold on to your system, you connect through your own mobile, you don't need the Keshe Foundation in a way to be there, and you, with the connection you have with you with your headset, you download your food, your energy, your needs, and at the same time you can change all this with any condition which might occur in your life. You could feel depressed, you would like to feel happy. And this is the next step in what we call digital communication, but through plasma. And for this reason, we bring new changes, new dimensions in what we call the process of creation, and is in a way important for us as a researcher and developer of the space technology to become part of this evolution. We have what we call developed it, we have brought it in, and we have many people which we could not, in a way, give an answer to. But now we have the answer for. We have developed a specific materials for this purpose. So those of you who been waiting for evolution in the science of the wellness and in the evolution of technology, now you have it. Combination of the structures of years of research now is come into operation. If you have any condition, you can use the process to achieve in a simple way what was not achievable. This is the development technology. What this means? It means the cosmic ray combination or obeso combination plus the transmutation plus the what we call the GANS patches, which we developed years ago and we tested with all of you, plus the knowledge from other aspects of the technology now is in our hand. And we worked on it to make it simple. And you can receive it and you can see it, you can use it. If you look at this, this was the Keshe Foundation Exhibition Center. If you look at this unit, you can see the unit always carry two pieces hanging on the side, which you used to sit and hold in your hand. Those two units connecting you to the headset now has been changed. Now you receive it as two what we call 10 centimeter bottles in your hand. Then you connect to the what we call the headphones and the earphones and cosmic ray units and the obeso unit into the system in the center, which this brings you and brings us a new dimension and very direct effect. Because we tested this in depth with the groups of last Friday in how and where we need to connect in a very effective way, and we watched how people responded to us. They had no connection, others connected deeply, others found immense changes, and the process has been going on. So what you see now with this is the amalgamation of all the knowledges of the Keshe Foundation in the past years. In a way, if you understand, you see, you are sitting within the structure of the two technologies together. Here, they are next to each other. Now, the white unit on this side, this one, is part of you, comes to you, and it connects to you remote, and you connect to the system. And this has taken us 20 years to develop, and the effect of it is amazing. I looked at some of the graphs which came in as part of this technology in the past few days, and I watched when I put people through it myself, past couple of years, how they work. Now we have completed the technology. We have brought the technology in the point that all the sciences of the Keshe Foundation on the wellness, feeding, on what we call health application of the man in a space now has been brought together. And we needed this to complete the process of how you as knowledge seekers will connect anywhere in the universe, anywhere on this planet for any need. And this brings us one step forward towards what we call the app system. Because now we can see the changes and how things change and how you as people change and you bring different conditions. And so as we announced today, you can contact the Wellness Center in Germany with doctors and join this. And this is a revolution in science and technology. This is more or less a step before the ultimate condition. I can see this to be a step up, maybe in next 2 to 5 years, as 2 microchips, 2 miniature cylinders placed under your skin, nowhere that you can feel. And through this, with your connection to the what we call communication systems, which we developed, and it's uniquely for Keshe Foundation, you can connect to the system to feed yourself to what you call the wellness of you. You feel depressed in one corner of the universe, you just connect directly to the system. And we invite you, and we have many people who like to join this, and to expand the knowledge, to bring the collection of all the research and development of the Keshe Foundation over the past few years. And this will bring us to a new understanding. This is evolution and revolution in science of the what we call the space travel. And in so many ways, the next step after this will be using this knowledge for transmutation. And I explain it to you when we come to it, when more data is available for our scientists to understand, to be able to carry this information forward. So what we started with you lot, if you remember, as a paint pen and a paint patch and a paint pad, and then as the universal units, and then the head units, if we came to Austria, all now comes into one cycle, and with its effectiveness, with its operation, and with its delivery. And I hope we should be able to see our doctors to help many, many people very fast. And with this new technology, you do not need what we call the elaborate systems of the past. And you can see, in a way, as you know, there are 2 strings attached to this, which you hold in your hand. When you come, you can see them hanging here, very faint. Now you receive these 2 as a package, where you connected your headphones, and where you sat in this, now you do it with the headphones. In the Obeso system, when you look at the chairs, fields were built inside the system. Reactors were put inside the chairs. Now you receive that as the patches, which you already know how to make it, and you know how to apply it. And then once it's all connected, you will see the change in emotion. You change elevation of the soul. And it's amazing how this thing works. I have shown you systems that how we see the operation of the soul. And some data which has come up, and pictures in the past few days from our research centers, and the data we create and we control, it's very interesting to see how effective these are, and how they change, and how our knowledge seekers individually come to interact, and how they change it, and how they create new conditions for themselves. And in a way, we try to bring this into understanding of what we call a more dynamic system, that our scientists and doctors in the near future can help and change the dimension of the physicality and life of many people, not only on this planet, but beyond. Where we can reach now in a very simple system. In a space, you don't need to dial, help me, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. The system is embedded in your structure and is embedded in a field of strength in the what we call the soul of the man. And then we see the next step. And we see how in the near future, when we introduce the apps and what we call bypassing the artificial intelligence system, which they're talking about, because if you have this, you are the artificial intelligence system. And you don't need this to, or in a way, you don't need to be away from it, to be part of it. And you can see, I'll show you something which has come up from this week. If you remember the figures, the pictures we showed you before, this is from a session with a new system, partially new system, in the last week. You see how the soul has interacted with the physicality and the soul of physicality, and how the physicality takes charge to change itself. This could be a cancer. This could be a problem with the kidney. This could be a problem with the, what we call the soul of the man. In these pictures, these graphs brings a lot of clarity. You see for the first time, physicality, which is the yellow line, is on its own, is dealing with it. It has to deal with it. The soul and the soul of physicality stay in touch, they lock in. And then you come in with a cancer, then you have no cancer. Because physicality has to handle it. These graphs, if you understand the science of the space plasma, has a huge meaning in the work of the knowledge and the development. We hardly ever see the physicality separating, to do, to handle, to be, to come in what we call combination and connection, and in the same length of the physicality, the soul of physicality and the soul. The physicality is handling it. It has to handle it because it needs to reach to this point. And then, if you understand this, you understand the new dimension in the world of science. As we said, now we change those huge system of visuals to these systems, to headphones, and the headsets and cosmic rays can be used partially for this system. If we set it up, the visual units, then you can see how you can be hungry in 1 second. You make your wish, you connect yourself to the system, you have your headphones, and you're no more hungry. You don't need to kill for. You walk in with conditions that the doctor says is impossible, and then within a few minutes become possible. Today, as we speak, we are running a trial in the Middle East. A girl, young age, has faced unknowingly with a condition which she has lost 60% working capacity of the kidneys, both kidneys at the same time. And the parents are doctors. They have taken, in conjunction with the Keshe Foundation, this process in a different way. And within 3 weeks, we have seen changes that the doctors cannot explain. And hopefully, everything is data collected by the parents, because they're doctors, they're knowledge seekers, and there were no solution for this child in the world of medicine of today. Now the kidney is back to operation. And tests will show in the next few weeks the way we rebuilt the brain of Naomi. For the first time, understanding this technology, we have built the kidney, rebuild the kidney. The data will be released as it completes in next most probably 4 to 6 weeks, that what was impossible now has become possible. And as parents, either are doctors, scientists in the world of medicine, they will publish it themselves. And would this change the world of dialysis? The doctors involved in, they say they think so. Would we need dialysis machines? In most cases, most probably no. And then it goes to the next step. And can we eradicate other diseases? Can we change other diseases? Can we grow muscles with the conditions of polio? Can we change bringing the children who have brain damage or born at point of birth because of lack of oxygen with a lot of problems back into the system, to these systems? Data since last week gives a lot of promises, and we would like to expand it. We have people who would like to do it, but financially cannot afford it. And Keshe Foundation cannot run without it. We'll come to you, or you can nominate for it to be done, because we have to get this completed. And once we do this, we go to the next steps of the science and development of technology. We need this through the process of transmutation. We need this through the process of transfer. We need this to understand more of. You've never seen this. Nobody can show you such a technology so clearly as is on the screen. The physicality being supported by the soul of the man, bringing that change, to bring itself in line, to bring itself in a position of change. Would it take more than a few hours using this technology to change cancer? Would it change a few hours to change the Parkinson? Would it take a few seconds to feed the hunger of millions that man does not need to kill? And this is the progress we have in science and technology. And this is thanks to you, knowledge seekers, who have managed, supported us, became what I call volunteers, and you allowed us to develop it, to test it, and to bring it back in the new position and condition. When I was listening in the past few days to the world leaders in the United Nations speaking about AI, I said, oh my God, AI. We don't need artificial intelligence. We have intelligence within the structure of the man to do the job. And then we see how things will change and what is to bring in. And we're looking for volunteers. We're looking for people who come in. It doesn't matter what condition you are. Go to Dr. Kern through the wellness center run by the doctors, and then supported by them to reach through the system. And we'll come to every individual we know who can support us to cover this, to be able to expand this, that we can go further. And I think, as I said to you, we have new messages, new information, and this is what you see. You were different groups last Friday, and we tested every combination of connecting your soul to your solar physicality, your soul to your physicality, and what we see is now the system is complete. So the system is set. We can transfer you from outside the system into the dimension of transmutation into the system, gives you physicality inside the system, allow you to manifest yourself in the physical dimension, and then use the same thing to transfer to you from inside outside. And we did this with your people last week, last Friday, where We see no soul movement. We just see physicality. We see in one combination where the soul is working, but the physicality has moved on. And we have graphed all of it. And this was completion. But what do you see this week on your screen? Does it mean a man can be condemned to death because of color, race, cancer, Parkinson, or political view? Or with this technology, we all become the same? Does not mean that we elevate our physicality to get rid of cancer. It means we can elevate ourselves to get rid of our racism. With this technology, it's possible. We can get rid of our prejudices unknowingly, and this is all men will become equal. This technology, now what we see, gives us that opportunity. And the beauty of it is that huge number of people on this planet carried mobile phones, huge number of people carry headphones, and we can reach. I thank every individual of you supporting us for past, especially 3-4 years, testing things for us, joining these sessions, because in a way, this is the fruit of years of collaboration as knowledge seekers across this planet. Where we didn't succeed, we understand where, we adopted it. Where we succeeded, we learned that we made more solid basis on it. And this is in front of you, if you understand what it means. You've seen the pictures before. We had published many of it in the past, or in some sessions we have shown it. You've never seen the physicality of the man's soul trying to fix, to join the soul of physicality. And when that yellow line joins the purple line, it means the process complete. And when all become one line, it means there is no disease. There is no hunger. There is no racism. There is nothing, and the man become equal to the others. And I hope, as knowledge seekers, you understand this, as you supported us, you brought us to this position with your relentless support in past years. And this is the fruit of work of all of us, not just one of us or somebody did. I did it myself. I hope those of you who feel lucky enough to be healthy understand those who are not healthy, who are hungry, and suffer with other things from the hand of the other man. When you see these pictures, when you understand it the way we do, we need to tweak it a little bit in another combination and get rid of all the racism. Get rid of all the prejudices of color, race, religion, and the rest of it, and then man becomes one. Because here you see the physicality of the man on the yellow line. The next step, you see the soul of physicality, which comes with the prejudices in place of the yellow line. And we know how to do it. I hope this brought you a new dimension to understand the work. And I hope you understand how deep this work is going on with us, with the foundation, and what we're set to do. If there are any questions, we answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We do have a hand up here with Dimitri. I guess we can start with that, and we have several other questions in the background. So go ahead, Dimitri.
Thank Thank you, Rick. Today's teaching has just absolutely blown me away. I am so grateful. I really not even going to bother trying to put it into words. Thank you all so much. So I did have two questions, but your teaching from the first part of this workshop, I feel that it has actually answered the question. I just don't comprehend it yet, but what I'm looking for is in the teaching, so I'm very grateful for that as well. So it's just my second question I'd like to ask, which is actually a two-parter.
Can I ask one question? Just 1 second, please. Rick,
yes.
Did you lose any voice in between past 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
I don't think so. I think it was all clear.
It's all clear. Okay, because we had a clinch in the system. Okay, no problem. Carry on, please.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. So my question is, when a child of Mitra is created and that pure, shining energy center chooses to manifest in the matter state dimension of blue planet Earth, that child of Mitra is, if that child of Mitra is conceived by a food-eating mother, it is attached to an umbilical cord, attached to the digestive system of the mother, even though the fetus is growing and the child is growing, manifesting only from receiving the universal fields external to the magnetosphere of the carrying mother. But if the mother does not eat matter state food any longer, and she has already lost her digestive system over time, then there will be no umbilical cord for the fetus to attach to, and the fetus, the growing child, will manifest fully matter state detached from the carrying mother within the womb universe of the mother. Is that correct?
You got to understand, we work through the fields. These fields can be in any dimension or direction. You do not need umbilical cord, as you don't see umbilical cord between the earth and the sun. It receives the fields and it receives everything it needs from it. In the dimension of physicality, it has been built. I always say it's like loving. You know, you love your child because you can hold it, and then till you become a grandparent, and then you see the love of your grandchild. The child is for you to feed. You were there to do everything to guarantee survival. And the grandchild is for you just give the love of, and the child feels it. Do you understand? There is no connection of feeding. So is the man. I have two gorgeous granddaughters, and I don't need to do anything with them. Sometimes, you know, when you speak to them, you see the love inside them, the beauty in them. I spend time understanding this with my grandchildren. And I see different than when I had my sons and my children. That was a physical contact. That was a physical thing. Now is emotional and the link. And sometimes you feel, my granddaughters feel me better than their parents. Was it a need for me to create that line? I had nothing to do with their creation. but the feel and the love which gave to my children and it's gone to the grandchildren knows no boundary. I huckle with them and juggle with them, trying to understand. And this, my granddaughter is amazing. I don't need even to talk to. With a picture, I can transfer my energy. I hackle with them, don't eat sweet, eat this, do that. I didn't have the patience with a father or with their fathers. Because it's the love, and it's the amazing it is. I watch them with their grandparents, other grandparents. We have no physical connection, but the emotion and the love is there. And sometimes the parents say, would you like to raise these children? Because they don't listen to us, but they listen to you. And I heard the same thing from my grandparents with my mother. Do we need that umbilical cord? Or do we have the line of connection through emotion? I love my granddaughters beyond imagination. And I don't need to, a few words, eat your food, you're supposed to do this, you're not supposed to. It wasn't an agreement. All said, all listened to, and it's all done. Parents have to pull their hair out. Because they have a physical connection. With me, it's an emotional connection. And this is the same as children of Mitra. The connection is with the soul of the creator. The mother creates the, what we call the ambient, the womb. This is why the children of the Mitra, born from interaction of different races in the universe, does not necessarily mean to be born in the womb of the mother. We've seen how birds and lizards lay an egg, take it to an environment, in the sand, they bury it, when it warms, then they are born. Nothing to do with the womb of the mother. This is how the children of the man and universal children, as we call the children of Mitra, in the universe are created, because they don't fit into the structure. They have to fit in the environment. And this is what we need. This is what we need to understand. The physicality, connection, and the beauty is very much within the structure. Very much within understanding. But we have to understand one is connected with dimension of physicality, one is the dimension of energy or fields. And if you understand this, then we understand the totality. And then we see the connection. And then we understand the future steps. We are taught that when you're young and you have children, you are very much involved everything with the physical dimension. When you become a grandparents, they come and go. They're not yours. You have them for a few days, but they feel your love. They feel what you give them. And logic is different. I speak totally different way to youngsters than the parents. And emotion carries you through. Not shouting, logic. You can talk and somehow you build that with your grandchildren. And sometimes the parents, even they giving birth to them, look after them all day, doesn't go. Our aren't we in a way talking about the second part? No physical connection, but the emotional connection? Isn't this what the man is and the child of meter will be? Then you have answered yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. The second part of this question, if you'll allow me.
Yeah.
Will a child of Mitra, child of the universe, when born in this matter state dimension of blue planet Earth, will that child be more silicon crystalline than a regular child and possibly have a single hemisphere brain structure rather than the two hemispheres that humanity presently has at the moment? Thank you.
It's a combination of two. As I said, I was with a doctor very recently, and our doctors are fixed to a certain way. And these creatures are very clever because if you don't want to be, what do you call it, separated, become part of. On this planet, on the condition they are, they still look like you and me. In a space they convert, where man cannot do. Because they work through that operation. And I sat in front of this doctor, and he says, this gives us this because it's physical, I can see it. And I thought, what's going to happen to you when you get the creature in front of you which doesn't have what you expect? Is it dead? Is it alive? And we will see different beauties of the creation in the world of Creator. And we have to be ready to accept it all. And don't make separation because of our own understanding or what we've been taught to understand. I have a lot of patience with these things because it needs time to be understood. Sometimes people come to it because of the need. Sometimes people come to it because of understanding. Sometimes people come into it because it's fashionable without understanding it. And we have to educate our people in the essence of the soul, strength of the soul, to be able to understand these things. And to be able to move forward with these things. And don't have the prejudices. And if we get that emotional prejudice out of the circle of the physical side of the man, we achieved a lot in moving man forward in the universal community. And you will see different structure of brain or central control system. You will see some don't even have one in a way of physicality, but create the image of, because the soul controls everything in a bigger dimension. And very soon man will see these, because the fields they create in dimension of central control is so strong, is so different, that on a planetary system cannot lead to manifestation of a structure of matter like a brain. But they work in the dimension of the universal lines, and they have a control system managing their lives, physical life. And you don't need a physical connection. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. We have a question in German in our Q&A, and I translated it to. It's from Has Zendek. Hello, Mr. Keshe. I have two questions, if you allow me. One, how can you practice transmutation yourself at home?
It's done by many people. You have to understand how to bring the expansion of your soul. Yoga people, they try to achieve something. Meditation people, the Buddhists do another way. But it takes a flash of a second to do it once you learn it, and you can do it. And you can start with tapping into universal knowledge, and then understanding it, not just make up things, but understand it in essence, and then understand how you extend it, that you become part of that knowledge, then you can transmute much easier. As long as you want to take, you don't achieve. When you become part of the give, you achieve. And it's the biggest problem with a lot of people who don't understand transmutation.
Okay, the second part of his second question that he has is concerns older workshops where you mentioned that there's a new technology for agriculture and the use of GANS water is already obsolete. Can you still tell us which GANs to use for the seeds, then for the sprouts, and then for increasing the yield? Thank you very much.
But this is well documented by the, what do you call it, in the agricultural notes. And Jim in Australia and Dr. Gathwa in Africa, they've well documented these things. Each seed needs different combination. And each seed needs understanding of the work of the soul. Then you understand. And partially, in a way, we answered part of it last week. When Rick said people used to put the seed in their mouth. You have to understand, do you feed them physically or do you feed them through the soul? Then you understand.
We actually spent about 2 hours yesterday in the Keshe Plasma Reactor group with Gianni going through seeds. His talk with us was all about seeds, the preparation of the seeds, the use of the GANS water. He had tests with untreated seeds, with seeds treated with GANS water, and with seeds treated with chemical process, and showed them under a microscope before they started sprouting and as they started sprouting, and showed some of the results. And they planted these seeds that were the test seeds yesterday. So they're now sprouted and growing. So there's a couple of hours of information there, actually, with Gianni as with a translation from Romanian to English with Horatio.
That's nice. You have to understand you choose two ways of doing it. And the new system is totally different in a way that we work in a totally different way than using ganses. But in the near future, it'll be all, what do you call it, explained in a more detail. Next question.
Okay, let's switch it up a bit here. Antonio in the Q&A says, thank you again, Rick and Mr. Keshe. My question, which I find interesting, is the Shroud of Turin. Scientists are saying it is a very powerful, intense light that imprinted the image of Jesus on the cloth. So wondering what your thoughts are on this. Hello from Australia.
Can you repeat that?
It was about the Shroud of Turin, it's called. And it's a shroud that, as he says, scientists are saying that a very powerful, intense light imprinted the image of Jesus on the cloth. So wondering what your thoughts are on this.
I don't understand it.
Oh, maybe you haven't heard of the Shroud of Turin. That's
Yes, I had, but I don't understand.
Oh, okay. Well, he's saying that, is it an intense light that imprinted that image of Jesus on the cloth, or how did the image get imprinted?
I stay out of this controversy.
Okay.
Was it ever there? Was there a cloth there? Or is it manufactured later on and credited to? There's a big dispute on, what do you call it? Point of view about if it's real or not.
Yes. Okay, well, let's move on. Ping Peters asking, can the newly made snooze scans be helpful for insomnia?
That's
what it's for.
That is for.
Yeah, okay. Just to be clear. All right. Malcolm in YouTube is asking, has there been any success in relation to someone with advanced dementia or Alzheimer's with the new systems? If the condition is most probably caused by childhood trauma, would treatment help?
We don't treat, we process. And I should say doctors in Germany do know how to process it. And yes, there's a new approach to understanding of Alzheimer by the work of the Keshe Foundation. The doctors, as we all know, look for maybe some spots on the brain, some lack of carrying information, but Alzheimer's, in most of conditions, from our point of view, is when part of the brain does not connect with the memory bank. It's a loss of connection. And we have developed for such a thing to rebuild, reconnect. And on the other hand, Alzheimer's, or what we call the connection to the memory bank, is or does exist if there is no memory bank section for specific things. What we call the memory section of the brain is selective, very selective. We have a section which only remembers names. We have places where section which only collaborates and connects to pictures. Some part of it is for data for addresses. Some is for shortage of or not having the connection to for the past 5 minutes, but 2 years later, you remember these 5 minutes, but in that 5 minutes, you cannot remember. And so we understand this, and through this technology, in understanding there is a need for connection, we can overcome. We can do this, or we can change this through understanding of it. The world of science is very simple if you understand it. When you have a lack of connection, or you create that lack of connection because of the emotion, then it's easy to break it down because you created through emotion. The systems are said to be above, interconnecting at a higher level. And we've seen that with Naomi. She remembers everything. The emotion of it. The first word she wrote when she came out of coma was Fabio. And so in that part of the understanding, why do we create Alzheimer's? Because we don't want to remember. Why do we get the total Alzheimer's? Because sometimes there's a misconnection in the brain, and sometimes it's so bad that we don't want to remember. And either way, technology is that level that you can change. When you have a child with Alzheimer's, go back to the point, where, why, how? And then you can trigger it. You can't do it. The system creates that environment that it connects. But we have to understand the reason for the disconnection. And then when you disconnect, emotionally, physically, the brain has to follow. When you disconnect from life, in the physical life you want to end it, you get ILS. We see your paralysis, we see leg, arm not moving. You see MS. Why not? What's the reason behind it? But it's the same with the brain. You deliberately create a condition, you create barriers, they see spots, let's say they call it the calcium or whatever, calcification or whatever, and they said this is a sign of Alzheimer's. Because the emotion in a physical ILS creates a physical disabilities. In a brain, because there has been something I don't want to remember, creates a condition, become physical. You see the same. There's no difference. And that disconnection, to block it, it creates other manifestation of protein, which shows as calcification. They call it in the brain for Parkinson or whatever. People see the damage, they don't understand the cause. The cause of Alzheimer's, Parkinson, is all psychological. And it's psychosomatic emotion. And you can change it. And yes, the new technology, the new understanding of the science of creation has been helpful. And now with a new system, it becomes much, much easier and faster. You have to understand, the process is very simple. The process is to understand the dimension. The process is to be able to connect the understanding. We create that understanding. We create that dimension. And we understand how to create it. Alzheimer's at any age can be opened up, that the person will accept, but you have to satisfy the emotion. The world of medicine does not handle these things. Medicine of today. And you elevate the physicality where the blockage is through the soul, and then you get the answer. But the biggest problem we've seen with people with Alzheimer's over years is You think they had Alzheimer's, they don't remember anything, they can't hear you. And some cases we've seen when we bring people out of Alzheimer's after 10 years, whatever, they tell you the things they heard while you thought they were in Alzheimer's. It literally frightens people who are faced with this. Unless if you've seen that, if you've been there, when you reverse Alzheimer's, then they tell you, you remember that Christmas? You thought, oh, no, the wife has Alzheimer's, she doesn't understand it, she's dumb and deaf sitting there. And you said a bunch of horrendous things about her or whatever. She comes up with it. Then you understand, truly, if she wants to stay alive because she's seen the true side of you. It's what we want and what we expect and what we love to have. And sometimes we don't want love to have to remember because there was too much pain connected to it. That's why we decided not to remember. And when we do that, the brain creates condition for barricading it, blocking it. No, this information I don't want to give out anymore. And so I don't want to talk. I've seen a few cases using the technology and how a lot of things comes up, why even the Alzheimer's came in the first place. But with this new technology, you got to understand, if you understood the process of what we went through in past 3-4 years as Corona, then these kind of things becomes very easy to understand how they occur and how they manifest themselves. Doesn't matter what age. Sometimes it's physical misconnection in the brain, but most of the time is not wanting to remember the position or whatever. And it's totally age irrelevant. Any other question?
We had a related question on Alzheimer's from Antonio in the Q&As, who says, Mr. Keshe, there's a theory that Alzheimer's in part is to do with nuclear radiation, which has flowed onto the etheric levels of matter and cannot be detected with our current systems. My question, does the plasma technology detect this?
You can come up with any fancy things you like. They can't detect it, they cannot see it, they don't understand it, and they want to do it. So it brings us back to one point. If you don't detect it, how can you do it?
That about says it all. We have a hand up with Dean, Mr. Keshe, if you'd like to carry on with Dean here.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, I could ask you a few questions, but so one of my questions would be, how is the situation with the nuclear program going in the background? Where are we in that position now with the nations? How are the nations handling the nuclear situation in the present moment?
Which nuclear position?
I saw some headlines talking about the Iranian president speaking about a nuclear position and speaking with other nations. Is this, according to your knowledge, is this the understanding?
I have to think very carefully before I answer you this question.
I thought you might. Yeah.
As I said, some of the Iranian men of power in the past few days, why are we fighting for something which is obsolete? And this has taken Iranian leadership to understand again, do we need to negotiate on nuclear basis? I don't agree with President of Iran going back to it, even though we've been asked to go back to 5+1. 5+1 was acceptable negotiation when nuclear power was the ultimate. Now nuclear power is not the ultimate. And what I don't understand, why the present Iranian position is to negotiate. We have a technology which surpasses nuclear and any other weapon technology, but it's peaceful technology. And why do we allow this discussion to be on the table? We abandon the nuclear talk. We want to bring the negotiation on a new legging, which means a new technology in exchange for peace. We call it, you might hear this language very soon in the world of whatever communication, we call it very simple. TIP, TIAP, technology in exchange for peace. And we are pushing with this, we have to push with this, that it's like, as I explained to Iranian leaders in the past few days, it's like a dog barking. It shouldn't bother you. That bark is the nuclear. Nuclear is obsolete. We can produce uranium at a very low cost, more efficiently without mining. We do not need nuclear material because we use other extreme of the science in field energy, which in its control, we'll call it, makes the nuclear obsolete. And at the same time, the new science and technology, the new energy, the new material we have created leads to the creation of field forces for universal work. And if we win our way, which I don't think win, because there's a lot of things behind it when I look at it, we change the position of negotiation on the nuclear talk. We have a problem in Iran, which is changing of the situation with the Middle East in respect to the religious ansaba. That's different. From nuclear side, scientific side, we look at development of or release of technology internationally, worldwide, to all the nations. If, which I think the Iranian leadership would not like to do it, they do not want to do it, they had the opportunity for 3 weeks to do it and they're holding back for whatever reason they have. We have to change the position of nuclear discussion by showing the effectiveness of the new technology in every aspects in defense, space, and the rest of it. but at the same time making it common to all the nations. We know how to make gases. We know how to generate water. We know how to generate energy. Now we know how to transfer fields to become the world of wellness. My idea to the Iranian government is very simple. We give this to the nations in accordance with technology exchange for peace. Ignore America. Ignore nuclear talks. In Africa, we have reached a position. One of the reasons Africa cannot go forward, one of the reasons Africa is kept in darkness and poverty is you have a few very expensive solar cells, very expensive some windmills if they can afford it. But in totality, Africa has now finding out about capability and the capacity of having oil, like in Gambia, in Ghana, and the rest of it. And they are too far. Sometimes the quality is not the way European refineries are set for, American refineries set for. So they were ignored. But China is not ignoring it. China is literally sucking these things out and paying for it for them. But when you put that, even they pay them to build the power stations and the rest of it, Africa has reached a point of total maturity of natural resources like dams and rivers to convert into energy. So African development is blocked because of the lack of energy. With the new systems, which has to be on the table of negotiation with all the African nations, even India and Bangladesh and the rest of it, which I've asked the Iranian government to consider, we ignore nuclear because it's obsolete. What are we fighting for? And promote the structure of the new system, which is not something it is going to be done. It is something which we already have in our hands. And we already know in our discussions. And we have to understand the totality. And that is very simple. I'll show you how simple it is. If you understand the process of the creation, the earth creates water, gas, and energy. We see there's a thunder and a storm and the rest of it, and the wind, as one integrated system. They're all connected to each other. And in Keshe Foundation, we have developed this technology. And we're holding it back. You knowledge seekers ask, we get this, we get that. I've got the patience with our lab people waiting this and that, but I know how the next step has to be complete. We can allow, in a very simple structure, the house, a family, a village, to have as much electricity, as much gas, and as much as water they need. Cost of the system will be in tens of dollars. This will change Africa. This will change Bangladesh, will change India. And then it brings a new dimension. People have new opportunities to be. And this is where the focus of new technology has to be, not nuclear. We can deliver the new technology of making plutonium, uranium tomorrow morning, or what you call in a blueprint. We did a blueprint for magraves. I can put a blueprint tomorrow morning how to make plutonium. And you knowledge seekers are good at it. You'll make it in no time. But what's the good of it? I advise the Iranian government that we walk away from nuclear talks because it's obsolete. What's the use of wasting time on it? And show by, what do you call it, leadership to bring that change in. But we have a problem in Iran because half of our structure is locked in with the Palestinians and Lebanese, and they're using that part instead of this part, and they're connecting the two to each other, which is irrelevant. Bringing this out has three advantages. First of all, it takes 5 to 10 years that every man on this planet will have access freely to it. Don't forget, go back to my teachings 10 years ago. I said, if you have 2 mobile phones, you have everything. 1 mobile phone, you've seen what we use it for to connect. And the other mobile phone can make you the other part. Knowledge hasn't changed, it's your understanding. So when we deliver this technology, that people can make that energy, water, forever, the system will last 10, 20 years for nothing. Then superiority through power of energy, control of energy will die. Nobody is superior because everybody makes their own. You make all your ganses, don't you? Now you make your own energy system. And we have taught you everything about it, but you knowledge seekers are like that donkey with 2 blindfolds in front of you. I look at it, you need to mature. So this will affect American and Middle Eastern nations' control over energy supply. Saudi Arabia will not be that important in America, what do you call it? All the things they do to get hold of oil and whatever has no value. Then it comes to the next point. What is new? What can we talk about? I have set out a plan for the Iranian government, what it should be. And I'm sure 99% would not be accepted because with this immaculate position of Middle East for them will be no value. But there is a dilemma within me and inside me. What should be the next step? If we release this knowledge in the teaching, for sure 2 things will happen. Keshe Foundation website will disappear. And most probably I'll disappear. And we have to bring it from a nation, and we have to get these Americans and Europeans to understand we are not interested in nuclear talks. Not at all. Because it's a toy we played with and it's over. When I was little, I used to play with toy cars. Now I'm a man, I drive the car. I don't need to play with the toy. And nuclear technology for us is that toy, and we are matured. We want to play with tools of the universe. We want to play with the mobility and the energies which runs the universe, not a few men in different places. So the reason I explain this in depth to you is because I know Iranian officials are online listening. We need to take a step to walk away from 5+1, even though I set the seed for it with Obama, even though we saw it, we supported it in different ways. Unless Iran wants, officials in Iran want to gain something from it, which is totally different. Chinese don't like this technology to come out because they use the oil and gas in financing, paying nations to control them for their own ends and for their own means. Americans are not in favor of Keshe Foundation because then the superiority becomes zero. European nations don't like the Keshe Foundation because part of colonial things they built in Africa, in South America, and in Asia will go to a smattering in the next 5 or 10 years. I have suggested, and I put my suggestion to Iranian leaders in past few days, clearly, in long time of explaining and talking. It's not worth talking about nuclear anymore. And I don't know why our president is wasting time on it. 2 years ago, 5 years ago, yes, 2 years ago, we left the negotiation. Now we come up with a structure which we can show. We are not talking. The production of rare earth material will damage American economy beyond imagination. And this is my pressure, not to damage any economies or anything else, but create conditions. We are not producing anymore 1 gram, 2 grams. We are producing kilos. We can lead to kilos of production of specific materials. Not using the technologies you've seen or you think you know. And this is important for us to understand how easily we can interfere and change the course. But 2 things is important. Would we stay alive? Would be able to go to the point of changing and bringing the change? And what would it bring? I show you a few things because then you understand why we do not need to talk. I asked for the Americans, I met with American officials last week in Vienna with the full information knowledge of the Iranian government, trying to set up a new structure of talk. Americans didn't turn up in the second meeting because they knew what's going to hit them. And the process, it's extremely simple. We move on and leave the negotiation nuclear aside and look at the new development, new opportunities. And if the Americans are shouting so much for new technologies, and now they got with this crazy AI now because they can, the intelligence of the nation is so low that AI is very big to them. AI is irrelevant. This technology even supports AI to a new dimensions. I want you to see something. This is the most rare earth materials you ever see. And we produce kilos of it. I put this technology in the hand of the Americans. Chinese economy controlling rare earth material is kaput within hours. I want to negotiate with the Americans on this basis. Not nuclear. The same material on the table, I can give it to you as plutonium. The difference between the plutonium produced with the new technology is already in the energy form. I don't need to ignite it. I just need to pilot. There is no need for control rods and running away and nuclear explosion because it's self-control system through natural basis. And this picture gives you everything else. System this size can produce your water, your electricity, and your gas. And if you are very, very clever, expand the picture. You see it is on the letter, you paper, you all used in Sanya complex. And you see the size of a pen next to the system. And we want to speak to the Americans about this technology. I'm not interested in nuclear. Our president is wasting time. And I made that very clear to Iranian leadership in past few days. And it's the same with the Americans. We can give you a technology which takes the embargo of the rare materials from China on you, brings a new evolution in the industry in Western Europe, ends with the building of these huge battery factories for electric cars. And
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
this is
Sorry.
what it has to be. Don't worry. This is how it has to be. Ricky can change the screen. This is how it should be. We are not interested as a Keshe Foundation and knowledge seekers. We are dealing with a technology far more advanced than nuclear. Why do we waste time on it? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, yes. Now the technology is complete. Why are we doing it? I raised my voice to Iranian leadership, and our president has run into United Nations trying to negotiate nuclear that we get some sanctions on. We don't care about the sanctions. We shouldn't care about the sanctions, because when we bring this technology down, what sanctions being created is no good. You got to understand the differences will make to Africa, even in Iran, even in India. The biggest problem for the governments with, let's say, gas or oil is pipelines, transportation. It costs billions to build pipelines across the nation. You don't need it anymore. It's like, if you remember then, in 1980s, 90s, British Telecom announced the biggest expansion of telephone boxes around England. You remember?
I do, yes, yeah.
And then they came mobile phone. Is anybody using them?
Mm-hmm.
All these telephone boxes are hanging around. I don't know if they're still there.
I think a few showpieces, that's all. Yeah.
So it's the same. Nuclear is those telephone boxes. The new technology is the mobile phone in energy. And I advise the Iranian leadership, Ayatollah Khamenei and the leadership of Iran, to walk away. We don't need to. We negotiate with the Americans 2 things. We give them new economy. We give them new material to bring a new economy, new industry. We bring prosperity to Africa with allowing the African nations to produce their own material, their own gases, their own energy, giving them a chance to become like the others. The Africans are as intelligent as the Asians, and a lot of them move from Africa and they sit at the leadership of even the government we see in the United States after decades. We need to move on and finish with the nuclear talks. Nuclear talks of Iran is obsolete, and I made this, as I said again and again, the Iranian leadership. We walk away from it. What's the use of wasting time? We are prepared to support American with a new technology in energy, new materials. We are prepared to support Americans with a new space technology. We open our space technology not just to Americans, but to all the nations. And this is a new rule we set for the Iranian negotiation. I never fight as an underdog. And in this era, with this technology, nobody is underdog. We're all equal. We are starting a new progressive achievement. And the tip has to be cornerstone of the works with Americans. Keep your nuclear talk, keep your sanctions. We advise to build these units for Iran, every household. We don't need gas pipelines anymore. We don't need refining anymore. We convert all the Iranian cars to gas units, to electric units directly from our own system. Then the sanctions has no value. We bring a new economy into Iran. And with it, with others, we provide raw material, rare earth material in Iran to the Americans. And we don't do it freely. You sanction us for nuclear is obsolete. We sanction you for the rare earth materials and what can bring your economy forward. I think you lose more than we do. My friends, you're making MC, you were on the line when we met last week. You made a mistake. And now you know how you pay. Technology will be given to Japan. Technology will be given to India. And America will fall behind. Do we need to talk about nuclear? I said, this trip to New York should have not taken place. And if you look at it, we had the most respectful, condensed talk at the United Nations General Assembly by the Iranian president since Iranian Revolution. And this is how it should have been, and that's how it should be today. I pay all respect to the Iranian president in the speech in the United Nations this week. That's how we should have been. We should have been acting, had all the problems which Ahmadinejad as a Jew brought into Iran for the benefit of his private bank accounts in Israel and the rest of the Iranians. We are not interested in nuclear negotiations. No way. Why should we waste time? We sanction Americans with a new technology of rare earth material. We sanction Americans with the new space technology. We speak to the Russians, we speak to Ukrainians, we speak to the Israelis, we speak to every corner. Iran, Tehran has to become the center of peace negotiations due to its technology. And then I want to know who will be shamed to keep the sanctions. And this is the seat I sit as advisor to Iranian government and an advisor to Iranian leadership. We have to understand what we have and use it that way. And I advise Americans, don't boycott yourself from new technology. We put sanctions on you not to receive the new knowledge. And you get harmed more by your own behavior than us with a few nuclear bits. Do we need nuclear power stations anymore? Do we need nuclear bombs anymore? Because plasma technology can take anything out in fraction of the cost, fraction of time. But technology, as I said to the Iranian leadership past few days, should be the process for bringing peace with Americans and with the rest of them. I will spend a lot of time in past 2 weeks in negotiating this structure with world leaders. Those we have access to, those who listen to us. And we have to understand what's the use of talking about a toy we used to play when we were children. It's sometimes good to play with it and put it in your pocket. Maybe it's good for my granddaughter. But not at this moment of science and technology. Let's see how we build up, how we shape up, and how we go up with this to see it to come. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, thank you for that wonderful, full, beautiful answer.
It's not a beautiful answer. I spent past 3 months with the Chinese, with the Americans, with the Iranians, with the Middle Eastern governments in every shape or form to find a universal solution with the new Keshe technology. None of them want this to come out because one way or another they lose their power or what they think is their power. Chinese bringing this out, I showed you a picture with them. We were producing materials, rare earth materials with them. They see this, Keshe Foundation, is a threat to them because what they invested for past 40 years, buying all the rare earth material mines and everything around the world, blocking them without anybody knowing, now becomes useless. So it's no good to them. gas production for China is a nail in the coffin, because they can't sign a contract for 400 billion with Iran for gas production in the south. And now we don't need it, take it, we give people to do it themselves. A lot of things will go to Norway. Americans spend so much money, they created so much mayhem, fracking and the rest of it. You got to understand something very simple. Once you can produce the gas, and once you have the other part of the technology of Keshe Foundation, you can produce petroleum in any shape you like. Doesn't need refining anymore. So Chinese don't want the gas to come out because they lose the economical control they have. They're already in a big problem in China with their structure, economical structure. Americans are the same. They spend so much money. They're in a big problem. Oil countries and gas countries don't want this technology to become public, but this way is a status quo benefit to those who are putting billions in their pocket. But they don't take any of it with themselves. Then on the other hand, with bringing this position, America cannot sell the old stockpile as they use in Ukraine and in Israel of the old. Now they have to produce new latest models because now they have a room to do it. So this is not my say. This is the talk of President Biden 2 days ago. The stockpiles of the old weapons all been used in Lebanon, in Palestine, and in Ukraine. This creates new jobs, he says, for our advanced weapon technology people. My God. This is the word of the most powerful man on this planet. We emptied, we got rid of the old stock, now we create new jobs. Who gets the new jobs? Who's paying for this? And then you understand more why we are in this doldrum with such advanced technology with Keshe Foundation. Let's see.
Thank you for explaining that, Mr. Keshe. That's incredible.
You got to understand, you're a British. You have the same problem in UK. And in UK, the monarchy is separated than a kingdom. And monarchy does anything to hold on to the assets of what they're taxing Charles and his family is the kingdom. Monarchy assets has got nothing to do with the nation, and it's not taxable. 2, 3 reasons. Nobody knows how much it is. Secondly, it's kept as part of the assets of the king, not the royal family. All the jewels, all the gold, which British stole from the Spanish centuries ago, decades ago, all the wars, $114 billion of gold taken out of Libya. Any other thing which is like this belongs to British monarchy, does not belong to the nation, and is not part of the inheritance of the kingdom. It's a separate thing. This asset of monarchy, which is all the gold, runs into billions, which nobody talks about it, is kept by the Royal Bank of Scotland. And it's not part of the English assets to be taxed by the royal structure. This is part of our problem with negotiation. British have trillions of dollars of gold gathered since Henry VIII and before, which the government of England has no access to, does not belong to the nation, belongs to monarchy, and that monarch is only the king, is the only one who's got control over it. It's never sold. None of it has ever been, even if it's been lent to the British government to raise funds in the market, After raising funds and payment, the gold value has been returned back to the monarch. This has happened 2 or 3 times in the life of England, where the government was in a critical position. They could not raise every other nation like Second World War. Monarch gave assets to the government. Government then returned them asset back. You can never see it in the data book. And part of our problem is this gold sits with European monarchies. And this is part of the structural problem. We can produce gold as much as you like, but disturbs the pattern and devalues all what these people fought for centuries. You got to remember, half of the House of Lords, half of the members plus of them were all pirates who stole gold from, what do you call it, the Spanish and Portuguese, and they brought it in. The more they stole, the more Queen Victoria gave them. She encouraged them to go and rob the Spanish. And who did they bring the gold for themselves? No, they brought it from monarch. Where is it? Sits in the vaults of the monarchy. And this is one of the problems we have in England in these negotiations. As much as we can release rare earth materials in the new technology, if we do anything else, we damage others. This technology has created its own enemies, and they are fighting with, what they call it, hand and teeth to keep it down, that they can at least keep the status quo. Now you understand that Keshe Foundation technology is not one fault, it's many faults, and this is why we get all sorts of things around us, and we can't get things moving so easily. Each move damages somebody's position and somebody's wallet.
I think as knowledge seekers, Mr. Keshe, we now understand why you deal with the soul and go through the soul to gain a different field strength to be able to move physicalities. And that explains a lot what you just said. Thank you for all that explanation.
We need to. This is why we run into, I mean, even we gathered millions trying to build the Keshe Foundation. Europeans set up the system to be defrauded. I don't know if you know, I can release the documents. Those people who defrauded us with millions 2 or 3 years ago, and what we call the prosecutors in Europe have issued warrant for the arrest of these people, confirming that we've been defrauded. We are in possession of the documents of the warrants. I can put their names on the screen, but that's the job of the Interpol and the governments are not supporting. This is one of the biggest fraud in Austria in the past 10, 20 years. The prosecutors, January of this year, issued the warrant for the arrest. They confirmed we've been defrauded after a year and a half of investigation. And now the Dutch prosecutors are holding back because it involves one of the biggest banks in Europe involved in defrauding Keshe Foundation. We'll get the money back because now the warrants have been issued one way or another. You'll go to court. So people thought that Mr. Keshe did this and that. The way I showed you documents, I can show you the warrants. It's a well organized to defraud Keshe Foundation by, more or less supported by government. Otherwise they would have done this in different. And this is why we are in financial situation time to time. We never been for years. Keshe Foundation run, you all came and went and never knew anything. But now the chief prosecutor of Vienna has issued a warrant for the arrest of these people, confirming a massive fraud Keshe Foundation. Even the major bank in Austria is implemented being part of it, or they did not respond to prosecutors. We've been allowed by the prosecutors to see the documents, and they allowed us, we took pictures of the pages and whatever, the warrants and the rest. We didn't come to cheat any of you or whatever. It was just all of us getting involved to expand, but this expansion has these problems. And now the warrants are issued, and these people, we are not the only one we defrauded. They have a warrant case for 6.54 million in New York Bank in January of this year too. And they're supported by major banks.
So, Mr. Keshe, can I ask a question from that then? So the material, going back to the material, do you have a name for this material?
It's known as rare earth material.
Okay.
These are the backbone of the new space and microchips.
So it's a combination of elements of materials?
It's a very specific material. It's created in a specific way. We never teach it. Is created in a specific combination, and is not the way you knowledge seekers think. Oh, we can produce this and that, and it's not the process as you produce. You know, we can produce gold, but this rare earth material, it's taken me nearly 20 years to complete, and this material you see is produced in past few weeks. We can produce radiation, and we can produce what we call rare earth material combination with the space and nuclear material, which is beyond plutonium, to create a new conditions. It has a huge application. A gram of this used in an appropriate way, it has to be processed in a certain way, can create a massive shield across a nation. This is not talk we already tested, we know.
So we go back to a plasmatic condition, Mr. Keshe, with this protection of, we know the soul would do no harm, and it's all linked. And this is also, this material is a matter state condition. Is this correct?
No.
Okay.
It is in the energy state. If you touch it and put it on your skin, it gets absorbed like water, like oil into your body. It is very much like a human skin, flexible, separated. It's like the way the separation between your fingers are. You think it's just accidental, otherwise your skins can stick together. We understand the technology and we developed it that way. And you can just put a finger on it and put it on your skin, and you taste it and you live with it. And it becomes part of the energy. But then you can convert it into matter state if you want to. But in the new advanced technology in communication, you don't need to create a solid point. You need to create a dynamic, flexible point like a brain. And this material allows you to do that.
So what are the nations going to be fighting for? This is going to completely change how humanity interacts on planet Earth.
This is what I said to Ayatollah Khamenei and his team in the past few days. Why are we going to beg on a begging ball when the ball is on our hand? We don't ask anybody to beg. We just prepare to give it, share it, and do it. When I met one of the American highest ranking people last week in Vienna, standing in front of American embassy, he was shaking in his skin with all his power in what he was told and what is the next step. We don't work underground to do these things. We work over the ground, and over the top of their head they can see what we are doing. And I said to Iranian leadership, stop talking about 5+1. When I asked Ayatollah Khamenei to start negotiation, it wasn't about 5+1. I said we can talk about nuclear in a different way. And now, why do we talk about 5+1? It doesn't exist. Because the technology is obsolete. Let the children play. My advice to the Iranian government has been direct. We share technology. We call it TIP, technology in exchange for peace. With the African nation, third world nations, very rapidly, in the next 3 to 6 months, we open the doors of new technology and self-sufficiency. And at the same time, nations like America and European nations want these rare earth materials and new dimensions it brings into play. We are prepared to share, and we are prepared to negotiate. We don't bring any sanctions. The only sanction is on you not to use it. You sanction yourself. And as I said to Iranian leadership, is our job, especially Keshe Foundation in Iran, to stop producing these systems as fast as possible. Still people pay for it. Still like the car tax, every house we know has one. You have a house, you pay for a television or radio license in Europe and the rest of the world. You pay for, you're using a gas up system. Technology belongs to Iran. You pay for it, belongs to the nation, you pay for it. And then everybody has, and they pay according to their what do you call it, their wealth. Nobody is deprived, but everybody is inclusive in science. Those who are near me, they know how much I've been working past few days with the Iranians. And even with the Middle Eastern people, we don't understand. We don't understand the technology. They understand fully, but they're afraid of its application. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your knowledge and your understanding, Mr. Keshe, from the Creator. It's quite unlimited and astonishing to hear it. Just thank you so much for everything you do. I was going to ask some other questions, Mr. Keshe, but I think you've answered my question very comprehensively. So I will let somebody else take a position. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You got to understand. We call it gifted souls. You don't come here just to ask a question. You come here because the question is set for you to do, if you understand it. Working through the souls. And it was necessary for this question to be raised today and to be answered this way. That we don't play hide and seek. We played very, very straightforward. We should not be sanctioned as we can sanction you and give this technology to Russians. Give this technology to your biggest enemies you think they are, and then it'll be nothing. I could have shared this one directly with the Chinese, but the Chinese are so scared of this, especially the gas and the rare earth materials. They're scared to death this to come out. And now we put it on the table of negotiation. And the beauty of it is, we bring a system, we make it for you. What is there does not need concept, it works. This morning, I received from one of the biggest operating houses in the world this message. I just opened my it says, Mr. Keshe, congratulations. Our nation leaders have just understood the technology. They need the gas as fuel. How much your gas cost, how fast can be implemented. This is from one of the top 5 nations in the world. It took them a long time. Now they say they understand it. Let's see what comes of these kind of positions.
Thank Mr. Keshe. I love the fact that you would actually give it to the most humblest nation as well, and that's the beauty of it. And the
We
beauty
have
of you.
to. We have to, because that's how they were controlled. When I have what you want me to control, you can't control me. And this is the way it has to be. When I said to our Iranian leadership past few days, when our nation has all the gas, all the fuel, all the energy, why do we need to worry about what the Americans do? Or do we need to build a new nuclear power station? Why are we building these nuclear power stations when now this new technology is it? Do you know how much transmission lines cost? How much nuclear storage cost? Iran is in the first phase of nuclear power. What are we going to do in 30, 40 years with these power stations when we come to obsolete, like in England? Hinkley 1, Hinkley 2, what happened to them? We don't have the finances to cover. But with this technology, we can just put a machine on top of the machine. The reactors is done for billions of years. But building, this is one of the reasons Americans are stuck and they're trying to force the past, because they build, as I said many times, they build all these underground cables and everything else, and the satellites, billions are spent on satellites. Now, how many of you have what do you call it, these cosmic ray bundles? How many of you have this Obesos unit? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This obsoletes the what do you call all the satellites, all the communication systems. This new what do you call cosmic ray bundles. It literally makes all the satellite, billions are spent on it, obsolete. And don't you think the African nations have the right to have it? And what is the future of this? Well, they spend billions on satellites. Now, sorry, Keshe Foundation has put a simple unit in the market and communicates faster, no interference, nobody can intercept it, no need for encryption. And it's instantaneous. How many of you connected last Friday to these systems with the system you have? So we have made billions of investments by the Americans and the Europeans in this latest technologies in communication. Today, I just received a message from our people. Just let me read what it says. It says, by the way, second parts of the cosmic ray bundles are sent. So those of you who took the bundles, now you receive your second part. If you announce, you receive the first part. And your system will teach you in the future how to connect it to your computer, how to connect it to your mobile phone. And you don't need to pay a cent for mobile communication. Nobody can intercept you. And this is the beauty with this technology. Is already at the reach of every man, every corner of this planet. All of you who took the cosmic bundles, you already joined what you call the new world of science and technology, which the Americans don't want you to see. To you, it's just a unit because you're children of this technology. But to those who understand, this is the end of control in communication, end of control in limitation of communication. Through these, you will see in the very near future, we deliver food, we deliver energy, we deliver everything you need. You remember years ago, if you go back on the keshefoundation.com, there was a tent. We call it the, what do you call it? The open, what do you call it? Oasis system. This is the Oasis system. This is it. Now it's become such a compact. People don't understand what's in this box. Even our own people don't understand the potential of this system. In Oasis system, in the Oasis system, you had no telephone, no communication. We gave you water, light, and everything else. Now with this, you have a universal communication system. Not only through the word, you can connect to the soul. The guy's doing this, doing that. I understand. I feel the emotion. This is the fear of the next generation.
So, Mr. Keshe, so this you mentioned something earlier. You said that no one will be able to bypass the system. So you have direct communication from between the systems, between the souls, between these units, and nobody will be able to. All this technology of computers trying to hack and everything like this, and then blocking communications.
You hack to the lines from the earth to the sun. Then you can hack into the system.
Yeah.
Yes. We had a very, very interesting position. People give us information without them knowing how we evaluate it, what we see, what is being set up to do. We have a couple who have a unit and a headset, shared headset. And it's amazing in sessions, some sessions, they feel exactly the same. They haven't realized that they are carrying the two together with it. So one carries the other. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's already communicating, closing the system. And so you don't need to speak to your wife. You have a headphone with you in New York and she has a headphone with her with a unit in Australia. You know each other, you understand each other, everything is done. What's the use? You don't need to call the telephone. Then the reason of telephone is to carry emotion. You carry it. These units at the prices we put out is a gift. Especially the way and the length of time it takes to produce them.
I think many knowledge seekers are aware, Mr. Keshe, of your what you do.
Oh, so you're just pushing the world leaders to understand.
Yeah, I think you just did. I really do. I think if they don't, there comes a moment when every man, every soul has to understand the position that they've taken for so long. But in the same instant, it's over. It's finished. It's now time. It's now the moment. The souls are elevating. They're now aware of other dimensions and other possibilities, and things are changing.
Gradually, step by step, as the Armenian says, "Gamas gamas." We have to go step by step and bring the change. Irrespective, the only objective or the only target for the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers has to be availability of the knowledge to every living things on this planet and beyond on equal share basis to bring a condition of equality and peace, and that's the target. And that's what I said to the Iranian officials. Tip is tipping the world present condition. And technology in exchange for peace is the only way. And I said to Iranians, withdraw from this 5+1. Why are we doing it? Let them come with not a begging bowl, but with a proposal that, okay, nuclear is obsolete. Let's talk about the future. Would the sanctions hold? I don't think so.
And that's the beauty of plasma, Mr. Keshe. It's always the weaker, the stronger give into the weaker, and you've changed the position. So you've flipped the plasma, and I always find it very strange how political leaders, governments, and individuals don't understand the beauty of
They
what's being put on the
understand. I
table.
just explained you. I
Yeah, do
explained
they?
to you this is economical, financial, and everything else.
Hmm.
Yeah, we've seen
Yeah.
it in. I think the American election this time shows the true face of American thinking right across. The prejudices, the joys, and the collaboration, everything this time is in it, and it's actually the full characteristics of a human being in the whole nations put together.
So what would happen, Mr. Keshe, if these units were given to the presidents and everything, and they communicated to the people in a different way and used the technology?
What's the use if you give a Rolls Royce, a jumbo jet, to a president who doesn't know how to drive or fly?
Exactly. Yeah.
You understand?
I do. Yeah.
This is the problem. This is the biggest thing. Those of you who were in Sanya, you saw two army generals. Not the one who spoke, the other one who was sitting most of the time. He is one of the highest connections generals in Chinese army, in military. He goes back descendantly to the leadership. And they are scared what this is going to do to China, military-wise, economic-wise. It's not that they don't understand. The problem is they understand fully the implication of it, and that's what they are scared. As long as cash is not gone to the Americans, we can hold it. And we don't run, what do you call it, riots. We go into this embassy, people come outside and start Keshe Foundation, Keshe Technology. We deal with these people one by one. One by one.
At some point, Mr. Keshe, that you have to let go. You have to trust in the soul. You have to trust the knowledge, the teachings, the understanding, yourself. You have to come to a position at some point in your life structure. You have to, even if you don't, if you just are very physical, there comes a moment where you know that the jacket's going to be gone, and then you have to take another position. And so the belief systems, the theology, that all has to open up. And this communication bundle is part of that process. And as you said many times, there's no stopping it. So it's just, it's been delayed, but it's now time for it to come forward.
Oh, it'll come out forward when it's a time for it. I always say.
Yeah.
I wish I wanted, but does it mean it's the right time? And people around me are getting frustrated. When is the right time? Why do you delay it? Why don't you do this? Because it's not the time. We haven't come here to do the rush job and go. We come here to change the fundamentals. You understand?
I do understand, Mr. Keshe. I really do. And so, just very quickly on a last little note, would this communicate with? I know this is stretching it a little bit, but would this communicate with, say, like a plasmatic car? Would you need the car? Would you need the car?
Well, if you want to, yes. You set it up for a specific purpose. Yes, why not? There's no reason why not.
The reason I asked this question, Mr. Keshe, sorry to interrupt, is because I know that many, you've mentioned it, that many large organizations are starting to change position and deindustrialize and all these things. And this is all deeply connected. So how would we help them so that they lose their fears of this technology?
There's no fear. It's a greed.
Mhm.
It's a different way of putting it. It's a greed. what's going to happen, this technology comes and we have no more control over it. We have no more say on it. You understand?
Yes, Mr. Keshe.
This is the problem. This is the mess which is held in and is part of. You understand?
Mm-hmm. All I can say, Mr. Keshe, thank you for everything you've done. It's just quite incredible. Your soul of what you've accomplished and what you're doing for humanity and all the souls. I know each and every person that's present, and really listening to you on many multiple levels. We thank you for the creator for the brilliance of bringing your position forward.
I cannot do it without you lot in the background.
Yeah, we'll always be there, Mr. Keshe. Always.
Each one of you help and support in different way. And this is part of what I call collective work. And every time, in a way, as I just said, with respect to this situation with the fraud, which we got defrauded, I thank God in so many times for it, because it allowed us to bring the technology forward. We would have got involved in building factories and things, and then research would have taken a second position. But with getting tightened on the belt and loss of millions, we concentrate on research and development. And that has brought us in this position in the past 2 or 3 years. We're spending more energy. We closed all the factories around the world, all the other bits, and concentrate only on research. And this has brought us this privileged position to be able to do this. And it's at a time it looked very, what do you call it, damaging. But I'm sitting here today, I thank God for, it's like when you're naughty, you don't know what you're doing, and your dad changes things in the background as a way of because you don't know, I do it, that you learn. It's that kind of thing. And you're not supposed to go into commercialization. Concentrate on delivering the technology, and we've seen it. And thanks God, when I look at things, how things are and the way it's developed and it's developing, we don't talk, we sit on the table, it can be shown, it can be done.
I'm smiling to myself, Mr. Keshe, laughing at your comment about the naughty children.
Yeah, we became naughty. We tried to go and earn money and for the foundation to grow on its own, and it wasn't. It has to be done by the nations. It has to be done by the government. When I was little, very young boy, my younger brother, came to my dad and says, "You know something? I don't want any more money from you." My dad said, "Why?" He says, "I'm going to start a juice company and I sell juice." My father said, "That's good." He says, "Okay." He says, "But I need the money from you to buy the fresh fruit." "Oh," he said. And he started this selling juice, making juice. And he wasn't so successful with it because he was too young already. My dad started buying the juices in the background, giving to the people, neighbors, go and buy his juice that he doesn't feel failure. And after a few days, says, "Dad, it's not as good as I thought." My dad said, "Yes, I paid for the fruit and the juice. I hope you learned something." So this is how it is.
Yeah.
We learn something.
We all learn constantly. It's never ending, and it's unlimited. and like your knowledge, Mr. Keshe. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Shall we
Thank
call it
you.
a day?
Thank you.
Nearly 12:30. We're going for nearly 3.5 hours.
Yes, indeed. Quite a marathon today. Very good, Mr. Keshe. Thank you so much.
It's
Okay,
just sometimes when I look at knowledge seekers, the love and the care we give is what I give to my granddaughters. It's just you give unconditionally. And sometimes you make them threat. Don't eat that. You have to do this. And with the knowledge seekers, we don't go there, we do this. And we all learn from it. It's all the children of God. Thank you very much for today. And we hopefully see what we can do tomorrow. There's something I forgot, something very important I forgot to ask. Those knowledge seekers who joined last Friday's session in different groups, we will ask you in next week or two to join in the same groups, but as a discussion. We want to find out exactly what happened to your group. How many of you felt the same? And this is important for us structure of the systems we set up. So maybe next Friday or Friday after, or maybe sometime during the week, we ask group of you if you can join us to discuss what happened with you in the session. Because you should have all felt the same, or should have been more or less the same interaction with all of you in that group. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And we can go out with a comment here from YouTube that came in early in the workshop from someone called Harmony and Happiness, who says, "Thank you very much from France. I am very happy to be able to listen to you live. It's for the first time, and it's just extraordinary." So I thank you from France, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. We have very good friends in France. Thank you very much, and see you hopefully next week.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Well, that brings to a close our 557th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 26, 2024. We'll be back again, of course, next week with another Knowledge Seekers Workshop, probably at the same time at 9 a.m. so far as we know. And our next public teaching workshop will be coming up. Oh my goodness, it will be in October already, October 1st. Tuesday, October 1st, will be with the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for Justice and World Peace, which starts at 4 p.m. Central European Time. Again, that's Tuesday, October 1st. And that will be with members of the Universal Council. All right. Well, I think that's it. We'll go out with our usual flight enhancement Spaceship unit music version. And I won't play it too loud because I don't want to wake up Trevor too much, who says he slept through the whole thing, but I'll catch up now. Okay, Trevor. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. See you in the next public teaching workshop.